Hi, and welcome to St. Brendan's Astrolabe. Happy Midsummer. Happy Solstice.
Happy Litha, happy June, getting close to happy 4th of July.
Happy summer.
Lot of interconnected things going on here. Happy longest day, right? And we're here for that here at St. Brendan's Astrolabe. As you know, anybody who's been following along even a little bit, and of course we haven't been on camera in a little while, so they may forget who we are. But whoever we are, we value celebration. And we value the marking of the passage of time, which is, really an ancient and, kind of universal thing, at least as far back as we can see in human civilization. And the most common way of doing that is to base such celebrations on the phases of the year. And, in some cultures that's 4, in some it's 8, and some one is more important than the other, But you can see this. We know, say, the winter solstice, very important time, throughout most civilizations that experience seasons, and it's true of us even today. Just like so often of the time we tend to say leave out the sacred feminine in favor of the more predominant sacred masculine, right? There's a balance issue here where we are correctly placing a lot of focus on the winter, on the shortest day. But we're not really doing that much about the longest day. And we think that that's kind of a disservice to ourselves, a disservice to people collectively. And so we believe very strongly, we encourage people to really make the most of this time. And why though? Like what do we do, right? And I actually think it can be explained and thought about in very simple terms. And I'll actually use an example from the winter solstice to illustrate this. So some of you may have seen one of the greatest Christmas specials of all time, 1979, maybe 1978's Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. And there's a song in that film, which I won't sing for you today, but it's called Keep Christmas With You All Through the Year. And its meaning you can probably guess just from the title, but I'll explain a little bit anyways. But it's really just based on the idea that there are certain, if we're doing Christmas right, if we're being sincere, if we're around people that we love, it's drawing out the best in us, right? It's giving us feelings of hope and of warmth, of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. We're feeling nostalgic for the past and wondering how we can take the best elements of the past to the present and the future, while building on it and making it better and doing things for our children like we're done for us and like all this stuff, right? All of these truly virtuous, positive aspects of ourselves and of our humanity, right? And it's a simple message. You can find it in Christmas Carol, as you pointed out a moment ago. Similarly, but if we can take that feeling, that kind of best of ourselves, or some of those just extra virtuous qualities, and hold on to them even after Christmas fades, then we have truly grasped the meaning of that holiday. We have truly celebrated it, and we have truly integrated it. So I gave that explanation, and I talked about all those virtues that come out and all of those things, and that's comprehensible, I think. But when it comes to applying a very similar concept to the summer solstice, the idea of it is so much more materially and readily apparent, because here what we're saying is the light is at its zenith, right? And it is, even though we're right now we're celebrating the triumph of the light, right? But post-triumph, it will decline. And light, does light need any greater explanation than that, really, right? So light, we need light. We need to carry light within ourselves. We have definitely talked about that quite a bit. And if we are able to take and there's also virtues associated with now, right? There's mirth, there's celebration, there is we ourselves joyously flower outside and with food, like the plants do, right? Like the animals do, like everybody does, right? It's just a time of overflowing, bountiful vitality everywhere. And those are virtues too. And if we can take that light and those virtues associated with it and store it up within ourselves now by what we do now, by what we think about now, right? That can just carry us all the way through to the rest of the year. And that's part of what we really encourage at this time. And that can be whether you're having a backyard barbecue or whether you're doing rituals with us up on High Five, which we invite you to do if you can. But it doesn't matter. Even if your solstice celebration comes on the 4th of July, that's okay. That's how this works. Like, that's how these things that become universal function in human civilizations, is that we synthesize, we syncretize these different traditions. And so, yeah, for us, the closest thing to a summer celebration comes 2 weeks later for the 4th of July, and that's okay. You can use that. Don't be afraid to use that. And so, I mean, that's how it is on an individual level. Midsummer.
I've heard recently, and you alluded to this a moment ago, that maybe this is one of the sadder days of the year, because after the solstice, the days take a turn and they start getting shorter, and so it's the beginning of the slide back down into the cold weather. And so maybe it's not something to be celebrated, because it's the high point that we know what comes next, which is shorter days, colder weather, all those things that death of nature, right, that we might not prefer. But I think that is not the right way of looking at it.
No, we can choose a different way. And one of the ways that I think definitely becomes easier if you're making sure to celebrate with other people, because in addition to this moment of triumph, right, this moment of triumph of the light, like, in the winter we get the promise, right, and the promise is that the light will return and the light will triumph over darkness, and this right now today is the fulfillment of that promise. And so that's beautiful and that's magnificent. We have that light, right? But I also think that it gives us a glimpse. It gives us a glimpse of, you've heard the saying of Jesus, the kingdom of heaven is all around you, but you cannot see it. Like, that's what this is a glimpse of, right? You have certainly heard people talking about a better world or a better way of living, or like, we've certainly talked about it, right? That's what you get a glimpse of here. Like, when we're looking at this moment of zenith, we should look at it as emblematic of the highest potential in all areas that's available to us. And the cosmos, through the sun, is telling us that potential is high. It's really high. And we all know that this isn't easy. Like, you can't just be like, oh yes, right, very good. The light is high at midsummer, and now I know how the world can be better, right? Of course not. But we benefit from those glimpses. And the same thing when we talk about, like, keep summer solstice with you all through the year, right? As an individual, this can be applied collectively as well. This can be applied to, our families, to our groups of friends, to the ways that we congregate, to the ways that we relate to one another. The more people who are doing this individually, but in doing so choosing to come together, to share some of this and to recognize that potential altogether. Even if, hey, like Moses, we know we're never going to see the promised land while we're alive, right? We get that glimpse though. We get that glimpse, and we can collectively carry that with us all through the year, and that just might make all the difference.
Yeah.
And one more thing, though, that we want to talk about, because Shakespeare got it right. A lot of us tend to think about the end of October, beginning of November, Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, All Hallows Eve, all that, right, as the Day of the Dead, as a time of, like, very thin veil, right, between us and, like, the other realms, and things can pass through a little bit more. We can catch more glimpses. Very, very true. Very, very true. But in other traditions, and I would argue that there's a certain accuracy here, the Midsummer, and some say just Midsummer's Eve, which by the time you're watching this is already passed, but I would argue it's this whole 2-week period of time beginning on Midsummer's Eve. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, where the veil may be even thinner. Shakespeare's play I don't want to call it a documentary or whatever, but he is describing a phenomenon that is real. There are trickster spirits at play right now. There are sprites out with the fireflies, and that's cool. And you got to watch out a little bit because they might mess with you. But I don't know, pay attention for that. Feel that magic. I would argue that the raw magic of Midsummer is actually quite a bit more palpable and potent than the raw magic of Christmas.
And part of this glimpse of Midsummer that we can take with us too.
Absolutely, because we could all use a little bit more of magic in our lives and in our ways. So that's just our message to you. Take it for what it is. This email also includes a special blessing poem inspired by another poem, and a bit of a journey that you can go on to prepare yourself for this time, and to hopefully set yourself internally, get that right mindset to really maximize this time, as well as a set of prayers. That's certainly it's our gift to you. It's our sincere prayer to the cosmos, right? And we like to offer it to you though, for you to use as well, for it to fall upon you and for you to participate in it. So this is our Midsummer gift from us to you. We really thank you for joining us, and we just hope you have the best time in this next couple of weeks.
Yeah, however you have it, whether it's a 4th of July celebration or a barbecue or a parade or whatever.
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it. And we'll see you on the other side. Much love.